Moss, make sure that the chat function is working right so everybody can talk to everyone. Zoom. Okay. Hey everyone, this is Dr. David checking in with you. As you can see, we're going through our pre-game warm-up because, as is so often the case, anytime you don't check, the gremlins sneak in. So we're checking. In the meantime, feel free to talk amongst yourselves, have a good time. If you can all hear me, by the way, just type a thumbs up or a heart or something in your chat box so I know that this is getting through okay. There is a little bit of a delay between when I speak through the Zoom platform and it shows up in your feed, but the chats tend to be in real time. So again, today is going to be another deep dive into the art and science of manipulation and how to protect yourself against it, as well as how to ethically influence people to do what you want them to do to create very powerful win-win relationships. Patty's giving me a thumbs up. We got Frank saying hi. We got Monroe giving me a thumbs up. We got Casanova. Yay. Hey, Lulu, thank you for the heart. All right. You may hear me whining and kvetching in the background as I deal with my technology, but hopefully you'll all bear with us. Again, like I said, we started about 4 p.m. Pacific, give or take. This is going to be a long one. Someone says you are audible, Doc. Thank you. This will be a long one. I don't do short webinars. I grew up on this idea that if people are willing to show up for your event, you need to give them the best you possibly can and point them in the direction of where to go for more. If that sounds like a plan for you and you want to invest the next 2.5 to 3 hours, give me a thumbs up. Thanos says stealth really works for me, by the way. Yes, very good. I love hearing that. You know, I created the stealth system I actually created it back in like the early 2000s. I didn't actually, I designed it for me. I didn't design it for anybody else but me. I never had the intention to teach it. Hey, Rianne from the Netherlands checking in. And then when I became the president of the Somnambulistic Sleepwalkers in Los Angeles, which is the world's largest NLP and hypnosis practice group, I realized that there were people out there who were struggling with the things that I struggled with, and they for whatever reason, didn't have exposure to the tools. So as part of the fun and sharing, I just started showing bits and pieces of the system I developed for myself, and people took to it like a duck to water. And it became the very first product we ever created from the NLP Power, that would become the NLP Power organization. And it's still actually one of the original program is actually one of our top sellers today, believe it or not. You can still get it on our NLP Power website. There's Manfred checking in from Germany. Michelle's checking in from Victoria, Australia. Wow, we got a real international crowd today. I love this. This is awesome. I'm so happy you're all here. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and mute my microphone now, but I just wanted to check in. A couple of things. If this is your first time with us and you're used to what we call pitch fests, where they tease you with stuff you could be doing and other people's results for the first 90, hour or so, and then tempt you into buying stuff and then answer questions and continue to hound you to buy stuff. That's really not how this webinar works. This is a class. It's a very participation dependent class. So the more you actively do the drills, the more you'll generate an experience that opens a door to your persuasion powers that you didn't even know were there. Maybe you suspected, but maybe you didn't know how to access them. I'm going to teach you how to do that tonight. I'm going to take you as far as I can in the time that we have, and I'm going to point you in the direction of where to go for more. A couple of things. If you have questions, I love questions, but if the question isn't directly relevant to what I'm teaching on the webinar, I'm going to defer that question until later. Barbara T is also checking in from Australia. Awesome. If you really want that question answered when the replay of this video goes live, all I want you to do is just go to the comment section below this video, type your question in. I make it a point 3, 4, 5 times a day to go through all of my comments, and I delete the trolls, and I answer the people who have legitimate, honest questions, and I point people in the direction of where to go to level up or take the next level. So that's my commitment to you. If you have questions and you want me to answer them, if I don't get to them in this webinar, then by all means, just go to the comment section after the webinar video, and I will absolutely make sure to answer those questions for you. And I'll point you, if I know the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you that too, and I'll point you in directions where I think you can get those questions answered. Also, my veterans, those of you who've been around Planet David 3, 4, 5, 6 months, years, however long it's been, if you see somebody asking a question in the chat that you have direct experience using our technologies and our techniques to fix or to satisfy, please reach out to those people without being too distracting and tell them your experience using the techniques that you've learned in our community and how they've changed your life and the results that you've gotten. Everybody expects me to stand up and say, my stuff's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and if you just do what I tell you, you'll get amazing results too. You expect me to do that. What a lot of people aren't often expecting is how many of our students who've gotten it and taken this material and gone out with just a few pieces and transformed their lives using these things. So you as Planet veterans, you who have real world experience using these techniques and these technologies, share that success with these people who are brand new. Let them know that this is the real fucking deal, right? And if you just do these things the way we teach them to, you'll get amazing results, right? And you'll just keep getting better. Anyway, make sure you have things to drink. I recommend highly caffeinated beverages or things that are high in oxytocin. So if that's coffee, great. If it's green tea, great. If you like chocolate, chocolate is a great deliverer of oxytocin into the system. You can, I've heard avocados also have a pretty high degree of oxytocin in them. So if you're a bit of a health nut, go the avocado route. They're not nearly as fun or sexy as chocolate, but hey, you do what you got to do. The idea behind this is the more neuroplastic we can make your brain during the transformations that we're going through in this webinar, the more rapidly these changes will stick. Right? I'll probably jump on maybe 5 or 6 minutes before the webinar goes live, just for my Zoomers to kind of reiterate these things. Remember this: if politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best use of the next 120 to 180 minutes of your time, right? My intention is never to offend anyone, but I do have a very provocational presentation style because I want to provoke emotions in you. If I'm not delivering emotionally based content, then I'm not being effective. A lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is going to center around this concept of emotional influence strategies, and why these things are so important, both in terms of getting your own way in life, but also in protecting yourself from the manipulators of the world. Okay. I love questions, but like I said, I'm gonna go as far down this rabbit hole as I can and point you in the direction of where to go to take the next step. So if everybody's cool with that, just type "I'm cool with that" in the chat. I don't care if you're in Zoom. I don't care if you're joining us on YouTube. Again, a lot of this I'm going to repeat just for the sake of comprehensiveness and making sure that the people who join us late don't misunderstand where I'm going with these things. The other thing we'll talk about is what we call the free-form webinar. All of our webinars are done in 3 phases. The first phase is the foundations phase. That's where we give you all the foundations, all the principles that we're going to be working with. The second phase is the next level phase, where we teach you how to take the skills that you're learning to the next level. And then the final phase is what we call the application and specificity phase, where we're going to take the principles and the foundations that we've laid out in part 1 of the webinar. We're going to customize it to the applications that you guys actually want to focus on. And we'll spend the rest of our time together skilling and drilling on those particular techniques. There are certain techniques I always teach in every webinar because they are such an important foundational and fundamental part of moving through the world with power and influence, that to not talk about them would do you would put you at a serious disadvantage. So one of the things you'll see is every webinar has things that are the same. Every webinar has things that are very, very different and customized to the people on the webinar. So you're going to want to stay till the very end of this webinar so you can get the most bang for your buck, and you can go out into the world and start influencing people ethically and honestly, but also protect yourself from the evil Jedi of the world, the Siths, so to speak. So that being said, I see tons of people in the chats. I'm excited to work with you guys, and I will see you at 4 p.m. Ta-ta. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. David checking in. It's our 5-minute pregame warm-up, like we always do before our actual event starts. Welcome to Weapons of Social Seduction, Defense Against the Dark Arts of Manipulation and Persuasion, and how to ethically influence people to do anything you want, anytime you want, the right way, the ethical way. Today's going to be a deep dive into the art and science of ethical persuasion, how to do it ethically, honestly, and make people like and love and trust you for having done so. And at the same time, we're going to lay the foundations for how to protect yourself against the evil manipulators of the world. We're going to teach you some basic principles. We're going to teach you some basic tactics and techniques that can be used both ethically in terms of persuasion and influence, but they can also be used to help you flag and profile people, to catch people in the process of maybe doing things or saying and trying to get you into one-down situations, for lack of a better word. We got about 4 minutes until the official start of the webinar, so I'll probably do this again, but I just want to pop on and say, if this is your first time with Planet David and you're used to like a 90-minute webinar, this is not one of those things. This is going to be a long webinar. This is going to be a very in-depth webinar. And we divide it into 3 parts. The first part is what we call the foundations phase. These are things that you have to know regardless of why you're here, whether you're here to learn how to influence people effectively or whether you're here to protect yourself against manipulations and unethical attempts at influence. You need to understand the principles that we're going to cover in part 1. We're going to teach you a few hardcore, literally bulletproof techniques that you can you don't have to believe in at all. You can just take them out into the world and practice these and watch the effect that it has on people. So that's going to take about the first 60 to 60 minutes, maybe sometimes 70 minutes, depending on how things develop. Part 2 of the webinar is where I teach you how to take your skills to the next level. We've specialized over the past few years. We've really focused down on how do we help our at-home students learn these things without having to travel to a live event with me. Now, let me be very clear. I want you to come to live events. I want to be in the room with you for 5, 7, 8 days, whatever it is. But the truth is that many of you, because of the current economic situation, job constraints, family constraints, you can't get here. So I sat down and I battled with this problem. How can I create a program? How can I create a series of programs that will help you level up and give you the greatest degree of training and information that you can practice on your own? So I think in part 2, I'm going to introduce you to some ways that you can actually learn these things from home. And if you choose to level up even more, we'll show you what that looks like. Part 3, we're going to circle back and we're going to build on the foundations that we laid in part 1 of the webinar. We're going to give you more strategies, more tactics, more information, but most importantly, we're going to tailor the content of today's webinar to the exact applications that you as a group want to focus in on. Maybe that's lie detection, maybe that's profiling, maybe it's reframing, maybe it's removing resistance to persuasion and influence. Whatever that is, I'm going to spend the next part 3 of this webinar just drilling down on those things. And once again, reminding you and showing you how to take your skills to the next level. Now, you're going to have questions, and I'm going to jump. I got about less than a minute, so I'm going to officially start the webinar, and then I'll pick up where I'm leaving off right now. So give me about 30 seconds. Hello. Oh, wait a minute. Got to turn on my recording. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. David Snyder coming at you live from San Diego, the Mega Platinum House, and we call the NLP Power headquarters. And we're going to be talking today about weapons of social seduction, defense against the dark arts of manipulation, and the secrets to ethical persuasion. This is not, if you're used to webinars that are like 90 minutes or whatever, you're going to be a little disappointed because our webinars are not short. I'm just going to own that. Ali's asking, David, can you please teach us the best way to attack? Well, that's a great question, Ali. And the answer is, I'm going to teach you that, but you won't realize I'm doing it. Okay. Today's webinar is all about influence and persuasion, both on the good side of the line and the not so good side of the line. So one of the things that we're going to focus on over the coming 3 hours or so is how to control and direct yours and other people's emotions so it can't be done against your will. We're going to talk about the secrets of irresistible human influence, charismatic communication on command, how to win arguments and overcome objections at will, and so much more. One of the things that I always come back to when I teach these webinars, first of all, influence and persuasion is one of my first loves. This is something I am very, very passionate about. This and martial arts have given me just about every good thing in my life. And so I take these things very seriously in a fun, playful way, and we're going to talk about that. But let's go through some basic rules for tonight's webinar, because I think it's important to understand. I've been doing this a long time. Like literally, I taught these things in Los Angeles for free for almost 10, and San Diego for almost 10 years before I was willing to even charge money to teach these people, because I wanted to make sure that I was giving people the most value. So is this the right place for you? First and foremost, if you're interested in becoming, anybody here by show of hands, interested in becoming more attractive to the opposite sex? If you are, type, that's me in the chat. Right? Go ahead and just type it in the chat, or raise your hand or type, that's me. How many people here would like to be more charismatic, would like to be able to just have people hanging on your every word and just wanting to do what you want them to do because they get something out of it, because they actually feel like they're getting everything they want by doing what you want? Would that be a good way to move through the world? Right? Cool, right? That's how I live. That's one of the things, it's funny, you type into Chat GTP, about Dr. David Snyder, and the thing that comes up is connection, integrity, honesty, all these, authentic communications things. And that's what's really funny to me, because one of our most powerful programs, which we'll be talking about, and a lot of the material that you're going to be learning tonight comes from that course. It's called Killer Influence. And the ironic thing about Killer Influence is the title, Killer Influence, Secrets of Covert Hypnosis. But the prime directive in the Killer Influence system is to move through the world, making everyone you meet feel amazingly good and getting everything they want by doing what you want, right? It's something I was a principle that I learned many, many years ago from Zig Ziglar, and it's something that has really lighted my path. And I've trod some pretty dark paths in terms of influence and persuasion. I've taught, a lot of my teachers are famous, and a lot of my teachers were infamous. Okay, so I own it. Right? You've got to study both sides of this. And this is why when I'm teaching you how to protect yourself against the dark arts, there's a couple of things that a lot of people don't want to embrace. There's a lot of things that people don't want to look at. And one of those is what I call the will to influence. Okay? If you want these tools to be available to you, you must have the will to use them. Okay, knowing them isn't enough. You must have a skill and an ability to deploy, and a willingness to deploy. A lot of times, I know a lot of people in the martial arts. I've been a martial artist most of my life, and I know a lot of good black belts that have gotten their asses whooped because they thought having that belt around their waist is going to protect them from a street fighter, someone who's more than willing to throw the first punch and keep throwing punches until the person stops moving. Right? There are predators in the world, and I'm not trying to scare you, but in some ways I am. There are people out there who view kindness as weakness, who view people who are loving and kind and generous as prey. Maybe not physical prey in the terms of like they're going to beat you up, although they're out there too. But people who are soft-hearted, who are kind, who are generous, who are willing to give things or be martyrs for people they love. And there's a whole victimology, there's a whole psychology that these predators possess. Now, you don't need to be a predator to use the skills I'm going to teach you, but it really is important to at least understand how they think and be willing to stand up to those people. I know it's kind of a bit of a downer at first, but I just want to be straight with you guys, right? A lot of times, people say, just say these magic words and stuff will happen. Well, No, no, you have to have the will to use these things. Does this resonate? If you're with me so far and I haven't scared you off, type "I'm with you" in the chat. Go ahead and do that. Okay, good. All right. Let me look at how many people I actually have in my chat today. Okay. All right. YouTubers, there's a little bit of a delay between when I speak here on the chat and when people get my message. But all right. So let's go back to administrative stuff. If you want to get the most out of tonight's webinar, I'm going to run you through a bunch of drills tonight. Okay. I'm going to talk a lot, right? I'm going to run you through a bunch of drills. Do the drills. You don't have to believe a single thing that I am going to share with you tonight, because we spent years honing these things down to basic mechanics. If you just do the drill, you'll have the experience. And in the process of having that experience, a byproduct of this training is that you'll open doors and windows in your mind that allow you to exert these powers and these abilities, right? They're cool as hell, and they're a lot of fun. And a lot of these things you won't believe, and you don't have to believe them, you just got to do them. Okay, so that being said, you're always going to have questions, and I love questions. But here's the thing. A lot of times the questions I get send me down bunny trails. And as much as I love questions, I reserve the right to only answer questions that are on point with where we are in the webinar. If your question is really burning a hole in your mind, type it in the chat. Just by show of hands, how many people are brand new to Planet David? Just type brand new and where you're checking in from and your name in the chat. Okay. Also, while we're on it, what is it you want to learn today? What do you want to take away or be able to do as a byproduct from tonight's webinar? Right. Let me repeat that. What is it you want to be able to do as a byproduct from tonight's webinar? Right. Type that in the chat, because then I can start to direct and focus the content tonight to those things that we're going to do in part 3. Right. Can't see you. Come on, guys. Oh, my Zoom is not responding. Can you guys hear me and see me okay? Testing, 1, 2. Man, I knew I shouldn't have did the energy work right before class. Are we frozen? Okay, my YouTubers are with me. Okay. All right. So A, make sure you have something to write with. B, make sure that you have something to write on. Now, I know a lot of you like to type, right? Typing will work, but for the impact that we want to have on your nervous system tonight, it's actually better to physically write things. Okay. So I've got some kind of, I know my Zoomers are probably typing away in the chat, but for some reason it's not showing up. But I see a lot of my YouTubers. Judy says she left Zoom, it wasn't working. Let me just double check what's going on here. Hey, Moss, are we Zooming okay? Okay, my Zoom webinar says not responding. All right, well, anyway, come on, guys. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with Zoom today. We are 5 by 5 here. Okay, good. All right, I've got all kinds of weird stuff going on. All right, so let's just do this. I'm going to go down a list of things. Let's make sure you're in the right place. If you're in the right place, Barbara says Zoom is working for her. Okay, it's just something on my end. I'm just going to ignore it and just keep going. All right, so how many of you would like to banish fear and insecurity from your life and just learn how to deal with challenging or difficult people? Go ahead and type that in the chat if that's something you want. Okay, how many of you would like to make more money from your job, book more clients for your business, or get that raise or promotion you know that you deserve? Go ahead and type that. That's for me in the chat. Okay. How many of you would like to protect yourself? Again, point of this webinar, protect yourself from the manipulators of the world and easily handle difficult people. Have people thinking, feeling, and acting the way that you want and naturally follow their lead. If that's something, you just type yes in the chat, right? If you would like to be able to cause anyone you meet to like, admire, and trust you, and even love you, type that in the chat. Go ahead and let me know that that's something you want, right? If you like to inspire your employees, your children, or your spouse to do what you want them to do when you want them to do it, Go ahead and type that in the chat. Okay. If you'd like to surround yourself, this is a big one. If you'd like to surround yourself with lots of new, trustworthy, and loyal friends, people who see you, who love you, who support you in the way that you know and want to be supported, go ahead and type that in the chat. Okay. I have to warn you about that one, though. If you want people in your life like that, you're going to have to make some pretty challenging and tough decisions. Okay. On one level, they're pretty easy, but on another level, they're emotionally not. If you've ever fantasized about the ability to like put someone under your spell just by talking to them, even if you have zero knowledge of hypnosis, go ahead and type that in the chat, because we're going to flirt with that today. If that makes any kind of sense. Okay. I may have to, unfortunately, you're just going to have to be stuck looking at me, because now I can't access my screen share function for some reason. Not sure what's going on there, but we'll deal with it. Okay. All right. So first of all, how many new people do we have in the chat? Just type "I'm new" in the chat. Okay, good. Excellent. So new people, type your, if you have questions, I want you to just hang in there. We're going to get your questions answered. I promise you, I'm not sure what's going on with my Zoom interface. Maybe during the break, I'll log out and log back in and see if that changes things. But in the meantime, just bear with us and we'll figure it out. So a lot of people ask, well, who is Dr. David Snyder and why the hell should I care? Right? First and foremost, I am an actual doctor. I have a doctorate in Chinese acupuncture and Oriental medicine from the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. I've also one of the #1 NLP trainers in the world, ranked by globalgurus.org. I've authored over 15, actually closer to 50, different products on various forms of human influence, everything ranging from how to sell better, how to attract people to date, how to heal people, vibrational influence, remote influence, hypnosis, hypnotherapy,
This is also wireless, right?
Okay, everyone, looks like you're getting David au naturel here. Pardon my, go ahead, Mons.
Yeah.
This is my my tech guy. He's gonna take that computer apart and see what that's on. Welcome back. This is me without my cool background. So how many chat you're still with?
It should be back on, but let me check.
Oh, that's why. No, that's right. All right. Can you guys hear me now? Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, well, that's working. You guys with me? Can you hear? Not on YouTube. All right, let me see. That I don't know if I can, I don't know what I can do about our YouTubers, but we're gonna switch back computers as soon as we can. So
Will you stop and start the YouTube feed or?
not, I can stop the YouTube feed, but then I don't know how I'm gonna get back in with them because I'm using your computer.
Oh, I'm logged on there too.
Hold on a second, let's try this. I apologize, guys. You know, these things happen.